everyone, and welcome back to Casual Climbers, the podcast by and for beginning hikers. I'm your host, Donna Patrick, and alongside me is my husband and adventure buddy, Roy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So in this podcast, we provide you with tips, tricks, and reviews of some of the many hiking trails in the Blue Ridge, and at least for the next several weeks, Donna, the greater Appalachian Mountains region.
Mm-hmm.
So we may be unfit hikers, but we love the outdoors, and we want to share our experiences with you. So in today's full episode, we head a bit west and discuss the Chained Rock Trail in the Cumberland Gap National Historical Park in Kentucky. We also have a fun fact about Chained Rock and a review of a great little cabin there from Airbnb right in the area. So what do you say, Donna? Ready to get started?
Let's go.
So here's Chained Rock Trail by the numbers. The distance is a short 1 mile there and back. The time it took us was 52 minutes. Now, of that, 39 minutes was actual moving time. The lowest point was 1,853 feet, and the highest point was 2,197 feet. So that's about a 344-foot elevation change. The friendliness of the trail, pets are allowed, but it is in no way mobility friendly.
Mm-mm.
So let's start out by how to get there. To get there, search for Chained Rock Trailhead in your map app, and that's going to be in Pineville, Kentucky. Now, there's a small gravel parking area. Maybe, 10 cars can fit in there, maybe, if they all cooperate?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there is a sign at the trailhead pointing to Chained Rock Trail. So why don't you tell us your first impressions of the trail, Donna?
My first impressions of the trail, I was blown away by the beauty of the area in general.
The whole Cumberland Gap area is so beautiful. You're not wrong on that.
Yeah.
And we did a number of hikes. So for the next 4, maybe even 5 weeks, we're going to be talking about trails that we hiked there in Kentucky. And I agree with you. This area might be one of my favorites of the whole United States.
Yeah, it was just breathtaking. I couldn't stop taking pictures of the trees. The colors were just so vibrant.
Yeah, it's fair to say we went in fall.
Yes.
Which is the best time to go to mountain areas.
Yeah, I think this was October 22nd.
Yeah, that we did this one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And it was such a breath of fresh air because our area was hit by Hurricane Helene pretty badly. And that's one of the reasons you just wanted to check out Kentucky.
I did. I wanted to check out Kentucky.
So
it's been on my list of places to scope for our final destination.
Like a retirement location kind of thing.
And I was not disappointed.
Yeah. So that was on your mind, much to your mom's chagrin, because it takes us further away from
Florida.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really, I mean, I've been so happy with Greenville, South Carolina, and I've been so happy with the Asheville area in North Carolina.
The whole upstate South Carolina, Western North Carolina is beautiful.
I mean, it's just so different from Florida. You have the seasons, you have the colors, you have so much here.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for the beauty of the Cumberland Gap area.
Neither was I. And I wasn't prepared for the history.
Yeah.
Like, I consider myself kind of a history buff a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I am by no means a historian, but I didn't know about the Wilderness Trail. And we're going to get into that in subsequent podcasts. But it's the path that Daniel Boone and others blazed to go from Virginia west into Kentucky is what they called it back.
Yeah, when we think of west, we think of,
Colorado, Utah,
Arizona. Yeah, we think of desert and dry and the Rocky Mountains and that kind of thing. But back in the day, Kentucky was considered west.
They had no idea what was beyond the mountains. Yeah. So they took this.
I don't know why they should have just gotten on the internet.
They should have just checked the Google Maps.
Yeah.
But hindsight's 20/20.
Exactly.
But let's get back to this trail for this week's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, let me say this: the hike, it is short. It's only a mile, so it's a half mile there and a half mile back. But you saw it took us 52 minutes. This is not a piece of cake hike.
Right. I think you said 39 minutes was moving time.
Yes.
So, but yes, even those 39 minutes, you're,
The way there is beautiful.
yes.
Let's just put it that there's rock formations. The trees in fall were gorgeous. But the way back, there are 201 steps
Right.
coming back up.
You don't really feel them going down as much as you do going up.
You feel them coming up.
Yeah. And you can see it on the faces of people that are walking past you that have already been to Chain Rock and are coming back.
They're huffing and puffing.
Yeah. They're
sweating.
taking the breaks. They're making use of the benches. And we did too on our way back.
Yeah. 201 steps is not a joke.
It's no joke.
That is a lot of steps, over half a mile.
Mm.
So it's a lot. So be prepared for that. You're not getting a wheelchair. You're not getting a mobility scooter on this trail. And so if you have knee or hip problems, be very careful, and you may actually want to skip this. But the view at the end is just so worth it.
Now, that view at the end is worth it if you're willing to climb the Chained Rock.
Even if you don't. So let's talk about the pinnacle real quick so everybody knows. So once you travel a half mile in, you get to what's called Chained Rock. And it's Chained Rock because there's an actual chain connecting one of the boulders to another boulder about 50 feet away. You'll have the dimensions in the fun fact, but it's an actual big chain that's connecting these two rocks, hence Chained Rock.
Right.
Now, the chain is at the top of this rock formation. You don't have to climb up the rock formation to get good views because there is a path that kind of goes down that is safer than scrambling up the rocks. You and I chose to scramble up the rocks because we wanted to get to the top.
And when you say rocks, this is not like
these are not 1 foot boulders. These are it's probably 40 feet.
It is
up
the mountain.
Yeah.
You're climbing a rock mountain.
Yeah, you're climbing up boulders to get to the pinnacle.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get there, and if you check out our YouTube page, we'll have a video promo from the top of Chained Rock, and you'll see exactly what we mean. And also on our Instagram page, which will be on the website as well. If you go to Instagram, Casual Climbers Podcast, you'll see photos from the top of Chained Rock.
Yeah.
And it is spectacular. It's about a 270 degree view of the Cumberland Gap and the Appalachian Mountains there.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It is. It's amazing. It's breathtaking. I was pretty nervous climbing up there because if you slip, it's a long drop.
Yeah. It's a very long drop. If you slip and don't land in the little trail area, you're going to fall off the mountain.
I mean, at some point, trees maybe are going to catch you, but
they're not going to be gentle in the catch. You're going to fall. So all of this is to say, if you decide to scramble up to the actual part where it's chained,
be careful.
Be exceedingly careful.
Yeah. I have a rule about watching the ground and making sure you don't trip over a rock or a root on most trails. And in the fall, that rule is hard to follow because of the trees and the colors of the leaves. And I got some pretty spectacular pictures along the way of the reds and the yellows and the oranges against clear blue skies. It was just so beautiful.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. And the sun coming through kind of makes them neon. They like glow in these colors.
Yes. Yeah. So thankfully, the path, I mean, other than the stairs, the path was not very rocky or rooty. I found.
No, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And it's a very well-traveled, very popular trail in the area. So it's clearly marked. And again, you're going to see all the steps.
Yes.
So if you go 40 feet without a step, you've gotten off the path.
Yeah.
Really, basically.
Yeah. But we have some I feel like for this trail, we have some amazing treats as far as the pictures that we're going to submit on Instagram.
Yeah. And, part of the problem is we love taking photos, and we took hundreds each individually on our trip and dozens on this trail alone. but the pictures just don't do it justice.
They don't, but they come. I mean,
it's the best you can do.
You know
right?
what?
It's the best you can do.
My mom says that us hiking and taking pictures, it's like we're bringing her along with us. So we.
Oh, that's nice. Hey,
Yeah.
Norma,
Hi, Norma.
if you're listening.
Yeah. And I think that your mom feels the same way because she has a serious aversion to anything cold weather-esque.
Yeah, it's so weird.
So you're not going to get that in the pictures.
No, it was chilly too. And you know, it's so neat up in the mountains. The mornings are in the 30s and 40s, and then
we
the
had
afternoons were warm in the
40
mid-70s.
degree. Yeah. We had some 40-degree differences from the time that we got up in the morning to the afternoon. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a big difference. Typically in Florida, you get a 10-degree difference. You wake up and it's 85, and in the afternoon it's 95. That's
if you're
typically
lucky.
what it
That's
is.
fall.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in the summer, it's over 100.
Yeah.
And then the humidity and everything else. But no, this was a really beautiful trail, a really beautiful time of year to go, and I'm really, really glad that we went.
Yeah, I am too. And just even if you don't scramble up to the top of Chained Rock, the trail still goes far enough up with a clear enough view to grant you a tremendous vista
Yes.
of the Cumberland Gap. It's just spectacular. You can see the Cumberland River. You can see Middlesboro. I mean, from that point, you can actually see Virginia, Tennessee, and Kentucky all in one spot.
It is a crazy kind of, I mean, you don't actually see state lines or anything, so you kind of need to know what direction you're looking and what state is where. And I think at the point where you're up there and seeing the vistas and the colors and everything, I don't know that I cared which state I was looking at.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
It just is all beautiful.
It's so gorgeous. So yeah, all in all, the last thing I'll say about the trail is be very careful if you're scrambling up the rocks to get to the top of Chained Rock.
It doesn't feel dangerous until there's this boulder that you have to get over to get to the Chained Rock itself. And that felt a little sketchy as far as, because you could go around one side and you're very close to the edge of the mountain, or you could go around the other side. But either way, you're climbing over
a boulder.
Yes.
Yeah. And so for those of you who have never scrambled on boulders, going up is much easier than coming down.
Oh,
because your natural tendency, the body's natural tendency is to go down because gravity is also pulling you down.
Yes, and you kind of want to go head first because you want to see what you're dealing with. But I sat down on my butt and I kind of scooted like
absolute best way to do it.
Yeah, I kind of crab walked, like almost reverse crab, like my feet out in front of me and scooched down.
Yeah, because these are rounded, smooth rocks.
Yes,
that you're sliding down basically.
Yeah.
And so you just want to do it as carefully and as slowly as you possibly can. So there were several of them that I got down and scooted on my butt down.
Yes.
Just because it was such a huge fall.
You're kind of looking at what is going to catch me if I start to slide more than I mean to in this moment. Also, like I very much am glad that I had my hiking pole with me, but your hiking pole is not going to really help you going down that boulder.
Not much.
You're just kind of holding on to it because you're going to need it for those steps going up.
Yeah. All in all, a great trail.
Mm-hmm.
I'd recommend it to anybody in the Cumberland Gap region.
Yeah.
It's simply spectacular. If you have mobility issues, it's not the trail for you just because of the steps.
Look at the pictures.
Yeah. Look at the pictures. And even in the parking area, there's a pretty great view.
Yes.
Of the Cumberland Gap just from the parking area. So you don't even have to get out of your vehicle. You can get a gorgeous view just from the parking area. And then you get down to Chained Rock and it's even better.
I have to say, last October, you and I drove the Blue Ridge Parkway from start to finish.
Yep.
What we could, there was sections of it that were under construction, but
I think we missed 11 miles total.
Okay.
Out of the whole 469.
Right. This area, the beauty and the overlooks and all of that, it competes with the Blue Ridge Parkway 100%.
I think so. Absolutely it does. And I think in a lot of ways it beats it because there's so many hiking trails that you can get in the trees.
Mm.
And I know there are a lot of hiking trails on the Blue Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton, but this one they're great in different ways.
Yes.
Right? They're great. And the Blue Ridge Parkway is going to give you tons of views from a long way away, whereas this gets you down in the forest looking up at these yellows and reds and oranges.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty great. So you'd recommend this?
100%. Yes.
And how would you classify this? Piece of cake, break a sweat,
Ooh.
feel the burn?
I think I would classify it as a break a sweat. What would you classify it as?
Between break a sweat and feel the burn, just because of the steps on the way back up.
I think that it depends on, are you trying to be a speed demon and run through, or are you taking advantage of the benches and taking breaks? I think that makes a difference.
There are a lot of a lot. I say a lot because some trails have none. This had at least 4 and probably 5 going through.
They know what they're doing.
I'm sure people were like, put a bench in, please. At least a bunch, because this is a lot of steps.
It is.
Yeah, I'd recommend it too. So if you're in the Cumberland Gap area, be sure to check out Chained Rock Trail. So what's today's fun fact about, Donna?
I am so glad you asked, Roy. This is an article from roadsideamerica.com about the pinnacle of the trail we just reviewed.
Chained Rock.
Chained Rock, yes. So Pineville sits in a narrow valley on the old wilderness road beneath a high cliff and a big rock. Travelers would ask about the rock, and so would local children. They were afraid that it was going to roll down Pine Mountain and flatten the town.
If you look from below at it, it does look like it's very precariously perched on top of the mountain. So I could totally see how kids would be like, is that thing going to fall?
Are you sure about that? Like, maybe we move Mom and Dad, you know? Like, so the adults of Pineville, they would say, don't worry, the rock is anchored to the cliff by a chain. But that was a lie. There was no chain, because a chain...
Are you telling me
what?
That parents lied to their children?
They didn't just lie to their children. They also lied to visitors that
Lying to visitors is fine. Lying to your children. You and I have 8 children between us. We have never once lied to our children.
Have you ever told your children that Santa Claus was real?
Donna, they're listening, so Santa Claus is real.
Okay.
Yes, my youngest is 21, but he still believes in Santa Claus.
All right.
Nicholas, if you're out there.
Okay, so... So anyway, they were lying to the children and to the visitors who were, concerned about that rock falling off the mountain. Yeah, they said it was chained. There was no chain because a chain wasn't needed. The rock
is fine. It's part of the mountain.
Part of the mountain. Yeah. Yes. It's just, I guess maybe a ball. Would you consider it a ball?
I don't think it's big enough to be a bald.
Okay.
It's just a rock outcropping.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in May of 1933, some Pineville men were sitting around the courthouse talking about the town. And one of these men, Headley Card, said he was tired of lying about the rock and that he wished someone really would put a chain on it. So this is somebody who has a conscience about lying.
Either that or this is 1933 before television was super popular. So maybe pure boredom.
I don't know. I mean, like... What? Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. This is in the
1933,
1930s, so it's after the Depression, but not far. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know what? I'm tired of lying to my kids. He's smarter than me. He's gonna figure it out. So let's just put a chain up there.
I mean, if they're talking about putting a chain up there, then that path must have been, the chained rock must have been.
It had to have been there. Yeah,
accessible.
I would think. Sure.
Yeah. So another man, Pat Catton, said he knew of a chain on a wrecked steam shovel so big that it could be bolted to the rock and seen from the town below. So they could...
it's a big chain.
It is a big chain.
A big chain.
Yeah. So the men christened themselves the Chained Rock Club the next day. I
guess you got to have a name for a group of dudes.
Maybe,
putting a chain on the rock.
This does speak to... boredom.
Boredom. Yeah, boredom. It's 1933.
Yeah. What else do we have to do?
Very mountainous, rural Kentucky.
Yeah.
What else is there?
I mean,
moonshine. I guess is the only
moonshine,
other thing. Maybe moonshine was involved in the Chain Rock Club.
Oh, I hope. I don't think so. I think we would have heard of like people getting dizzy and falling off.
Yeah, I don't think you want to be up there
unless they were like, "Shh, keep that." We're just going to say that Bill wasn't part of this. I don't know. They recruited help from the local Kiwanis, Boy Scouts, and civilian conservation corps. Using mules and human muscle, they dragged the chain over 100 feet long and 1.5 tons.
That is a big chain.
That-
And I can totally believe it. This
Yeah.
thing is probably 6 inches in diameter.
It was
This
huge.
big. It's huge.
Yes. We should have, well, I don't know if I wanted to get too.
I don't want to get too close because it was right on the edge.
Yeah, like if I could have like put my hand next to the chain to compare, like how big around were those links? Were they as big as my wrist?
They were probably each link, each side was probably 2 inches in diameter.
Okay. So over 100 feet long and 1.5 tons. They dragged this thing up the mountain and then anchored it to the rock with 30-inch bolts.
Man,
Yeah.
that's
That-
almost 3 feet. That is a massive bolt.
What I find funny about this story is that chain is not keeping that rock from coming down that mountain. It's just there. If anything, that rock is keeping that chain up there. That you've just added weight to the thing that the kids are afraid is going to fall down.
What that and if you're drilling or hammering that bolt into the rock, aren't
Are you weakening it?
gonna crack it?
I don't know. I mean, I guess they really
you're trying to.
they really weren't worried.
No.
It is actually going to stay up there. I mean, they
It's
tested.
huge. That thing's
Yes.
not gonna crack. Yeah.
I-
I don't.
I mean, okay. We're gonna will it not.
Yeah, we're gonna will it. We're gonna will it.
On June 24th, 1933, in just a little over a month's time, the project was complete. So this project of getting a chain up there with 30-inch bolts and fastening it to this rock, which is really the top of a mountain, this is a lot to go through for
Just to
a joke.
not actually lie to your children.
Yeah, they're actually... Well, you're still lying because you're saying that chain is keeping that rock from falling.
Well, but it's not really a lie if you say there's a chain holding the rock there.
Yeah.
The chain is there.
Holding the rock there. The
I-
rock
I
is holding the
guess.
chain there. I mean, I'd be more concerned about that chain falling off.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that. And also, if that big rock that it's connected to does decide to fall, that chain's not stopping it.
Well, that's the thing. It's
The
just
chain's not. It's gonna snap and bring the chain and rock down.
the chain is bolted to the rock that would be falling. The chain,
It's gonna
It's
yank
just-
it right down.
it's just adding more weight to it.
Yeah. No, there's not a lot of logic here. This
I-
is boredom. This is a boredom project.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But it's pretty great. We're talking about it almost 100 years later, 90 years later.
Yep.
Yeah.
So a local newspaper ran a story about it. The wire services picked it up, and chained rock became a national attraction. So, doing things for the lulz was something they did back in 1930.
Yeah. Became an. I can totally see it.
Yeah.
I mean, what? We've never been to a place where there's been a rock chained to another rock.
Again, this is just a chain that is attached to a rock.
I know.
But to preserve the myth, a plaque was erected next to the rock that claimed that the 1933 chain had replaced an older chain. But there was no older chain.
So they're putting a chain up to alleviate their conscience about lying.
Yes, and then they're
And
lying.
then they're lying on the
about
plaque.
Yes.
Okay. Not deep thinkers, I
Well,
don't think.
hey, it worked though because generations of subsequent visitors have believed it. They've believed that.
That's great.
I mean, you have set this rock aside, calling it chained rock. It does have a chain on it. That's the truth.
Yep. Nothing that they say that the rock is chained.
Yes,
So yes, I guess that is
chained
a
rock
statement of fact.
has a chain on it.
Yes.
Yes. Chained rock today is reached by a half-mile wooded trail from a mountaintop parking lot. We did that.
Yep.
But that sounds easier than it is, and we discussed this.
Yeah, the steps.
Several,
Oh, no.
I will just wait here for you, benches along the trail encourage the out of shape to bail out, and they should. By the time you get to the rock, 200 feet long and 75 feet wide, it's clear that climbing to the actual chain is not something for the dizzy or the weak. We saw several older visitors reach this point, take one look, and then wisely turn around. This is all in the article.
Yeah, but it's also true because we saw people nope out.
Yeah.
We saw several couples. There was an older gentleman who was halfway on the trail and was like, she's fine. I'm gonna let my wife go finish.
Yeah. You just let me know when you're done, dear.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a short trail, but it's tough.
Yeah. Chained Rock is a relic from an earlier time of no safety barrier tourism because there are no safety barriers.
No, there's no rails. And once you get to Chained Rock, even if you don't scramble up the boulder, the trail is very, very narrow that takes you, it's not really around a corner. It just kind of goes to the tip of it.
So here's the
But
thing.
it's only, I'm being generous and saying 18 inches wide.
So
before it's the edge of the mountain. And
you take the
off.
time to bolt a chain to a rock. And by the way, how did they do that safely? How did you keep that heavy chain and those heavy bolts from falling off the mountain themselves as you're trying to chain that heavy chain?
The only thing I can think, well, they said they had the mules that brought the chain up. The only thing I can think is they tied themselves off to trees.
Hopefully there were no mules harmed in the making of this Chained Rock.
I would hope not.
Yeah.
I would think that they would have mentioned
Can
it.
you imagine getting that chain up there and then somebody didn't hang on to it well enough and it just slides right off and they were like, ugh.
I can't imagine that. First of all, it's a very heavy chain.
Yeah.
What did you say? 1.5 tons? Is that what it said?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I
so
think,
if it falls, it's doing some damage, but you're not catching it.
No.
Yeah.
No. And I think at that point, the Brotherhood of the Chained Rock Club is like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like
this
at
was
least
a terrible
50% of them, I'm done. I'm out. I'm going home.
We
My
should
wife
not have
is
had that
baking.
moonshine before making this decision. It was a bad idea.
Bad idea. So yeah, no safety barriers. And I'm thinking to myself, they took the trouble to get that chain around that rock, but they didn't put any railing up. I mean, even in 1933, I think.
Yeah, but these people were smoking while they were pregnant, and that was healthy. You know what I mean? They were touting the health benefits of this. So I don't know if safety was top of mind back in 1933.
How many women back in those days got accused of being, what was it they used to say?
Hysterical?
Yeah, hysteria. Yeah.
Mhm.
These
I think
women,
you're being hysterical right now.
I might be, but like they're looking at their men doing these things and they're like, and I'm the one who needs help. I'm
going to guess every one of their wives.
Okay.
Yeah. You're going to do what? You're going to drag a chain up for what?
Yeah. What?
Because why?
Yeah, just tell the kids we lied to them. Like, it's fine.
This is a problem that doesn't need a solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the article continues, there's nothing between you and a 2,000-foot drop except your muscles and a sense of balance.
Yep. Nothing at all.
A good gust of wind could topple you to your doom. So when we were at the top of Chained Rock, I found a sort of a safer, in my opinion, place where I was up against another rock.
Yeah, there was very little chance of you falling from where you were.
But you were on the pinnacle of Chained Rock, just standing there looking at your phone. You were taking pictures and all that. I was taking pictures of you taking pictures and then looking at your phone and sitting on the pinnacle rock or the Chained Rock. And I'm just thinking to myself.
Thinking about that life insurance policy? I saw it in your eyes. It's okay.
There's
it's okay.
these moments.
I forgive you in advance.
There's these moments when we're hiking. These moments when I think, oof, that's a long drop. I better get a lot of pics. You know, a lot of pictures in case one of us slips. And by one of us, I mean you. Because I'm not going out there. I had plenty of views from where I was. I didn't have to get in the center of Chained Rock.
No, and again, I encourage everybody to check out the video. You'll see what we mean by it being pretty precarious.
It's precariously perched. I understand why those kids were kind of smart to be concerned about, like, because it does look like it's a rock
that is about to fall.
Yeah.
Even though it's very clearly part of the mountain. It's not.
I mean,
it's not loose in any way.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not like there's dirt around the base of it or anything.
No, or it's not just a boulder sitting on top of a platform. No,
yes,
it's
this
very
is not
clearly
some
part of the mountain.
Bugs Bunny, Wile E. Coyote, kind of, I'm going to push this boulder off a mountain.
Yeah.
It's not like that. Anyway, back to the article. The article says, we would not recommend Chained Rock as a destination for small children or for adults with a careless disregard for their own mortality. Are they talking to you?
I made it back fine. We're recording this podcast, and I am not a ghost. So.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, we made it fine. But children, I think children would be okay if you don't scrambling up the rock is. I would never recommend a child do that.
Yeah.
Ever in a million years.
Yeah, and sometimes we see parents that are hiking with a baby papoose or a baby in a backpack or something like that. I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't.
Oh, not at all. Because the slightest little.
Yeah. Off balance.
Yeah.
You and the baby. So for everyone else, it's great. You can cling to the rock and guess how many buildings it would take out in the little town below. We'd guess most of the business district and marvel at the industry of the people who dragged such a ponderous chain all the way up the mountain. They really did a lot of work for something essentially ridiculous, an effort to result ratio at the heart of most good roadside attractions.
Yeah. Effort to reward. Yeah. So the reward was they no longer have to lie to their children. They can actually factually say that the rock is chained.
The rock is chained. You have to be careful with how you're saying it.
Yeah.
You cannot say that a chain is keeping that rock from.
No, but you can say, oh, you don't have to worry about it. The rock is chained to the mountain. That's fair. That is a fair assessment.
I feel like you're dancing around the truth here.
But I mean, they're kids. Their brains aren't formed all the way yet. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a good fun fact. Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
So our review today, Donna, is Elk Creek Cottage. This adorable, very comfortable cottage that we found on Airbnb and we stayed in. It's in Bell County. So it is literally touching the Cumberland Gap National Historical Park.
Yeah.
And so if you want to find it, search Elk Creek Cottage in Kentucky on Airbnb, or there's a direct link in the episode description this week for the Airbnb. Now, I want to preface all this by saying we were not approached to promote this. We paid full price for this cottage, and we did not intend to do a review of it until we stayed in it and then realized this is a great place for people to come and stay if they want to check out the Cumberland Gap region.
Yeah. Far better than any hotel or anything like that. And we'll get into why.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Middlesboro, Kentucky is right there in Cumberland Gap. So you can stay there. There are hotels there. There's restaurants. There's grocery shops. And that's where we did most of our grocery shopping and stuff when we were there. But this cottage is up in the mountains, surrounded on three sides by forest. I saw tons of wildlife, raccoons and possums. We heard deer. I saw tons of squirrels.
You saw a bear when you were...
I saw a bear when I was leaving to go to the grocery store. Yeah.
Was it early in the morning?
Yeah, it was about 6:30 and it was pitch black dark on the road going out. And I saw a bear and a couple deer and some neighborhood dogs and stuff. The cottage itself sleeps 4. It's got a master bedroom with a king-size bed, and then there's a queen-size sleeper sofa in the living room. And we didn't use that, but the king-size bed is super comfy.
Yeah.
Nice and soft.
And the pillows are great.
Pillows are great. So let me just give you an overall view of the cabin there, the cottage on Airbnb. It has a 4.98 rating and is labeled one of the, quote, most loved homes on Airbnb. Every single review you're going to see, and you'll see our review on there, is glowing, and it's every bit deserved. You and I have stayed in a number of B&Bs before, Airbnbs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the ones we've stayed in, and we reviewed one before that was down in the Blue Ridge, Georgia area that was wonderful to stay in. This one is just as good for a lot of different reasons. One of the things that Leanne, the owner, does is there are so many little touches in this cottage that really make you feel welcome and at home. Like there was a lot of times what you'll see in an Airbnb is you'll see a little basket on the counter with 1 or 2 snacks and a couple Keurig pods, and that's nice. This had a big, huge bowl of snacks of all different kinds.
Yeah. The snacks that we don't typically partake of at home. So the first night we were there, I was kind of like double fisting it, like, because there was like
Rice Krispie treats and Ghirardelli chocolates, and
I don't know. There was just
granola bars and
sugar and carbs that I don't normally
chips,
eat. Yeah,
Cheez-Its, and I mean, just really good snacks, and
plenty.
And oh yeah, we didn't. We were there for 4 days, and we did not finish the bowl.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And it was so great. And tons of other touches. It's
a well-stocked kitchen.
The kitchen might be better stocked than ours here at the house.
Yeah. Seasonings and, just
spices, seasonings, oils, and every utensil that you could need, and pots and pans and dishes. Yeah. There's so much.
The refrigerator was nicely cleaned out. So whatever you use, it's a full-size refrigerator. So whatever groceries you bring to put in there, you have that whole refrigerator and freezer.
And it's also got a full-size washer and dryer.
Mm-hmm.
And the bathroom was well appointed too. There were travel-size deodorants for men and women. There was toothpaste and toothbrushes there in wrappers.
Which we always bring our own, but I ran out of the toothpaste that I like to use. And so I used...
And there was some right there.
Yes, that was so nice.
There was so much. And the shower has really nice men and women shower gel, shampoo, conditioner, and a dispenser. I mean, Leanne really did think of literally everything that you could want or need. Like, really, all we would have needed to bring was clothes, because everything else was there for it.
And not even that many clothes, because you can wash your clothes.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's got an electric fireplace, which was really nice in the mornings to turn on. And, of course, there's a TV with cable, and she has some games and puzzles there. It's really a wonderful, very welcoming place in the woods.
Yeah.
That, felt private. There were some houses a little down the hill.
Yeah, you're at the very end of this road, at the very end of this, and you're up above.
The highest in the neighborhood.
Yeah. And I will say that the TV is next to the front door, and there is this full glass storm door that we left the front door open so we could look out the storm door.
Yeah.
Because the trees outside the door, off the porch, and the porch is adorable too.
The porch is huge. It's this L-shaped porch. It has a swing on it. It has a table and chairs. There's a grill out there. There's a swinging bench. And 2 rocking chairs. I mean, like, there's so much nice seating. And then down a little of the driveway, there's a fire pit.
Yeah.
With tons of firewood if you wanted. Now, we didn't do that while we were there, but we totally could have. There's a fire pit with firewood and
seating around it.
God, it was just nice. It was a gorgeous B&B. And to top it all off, as if this all wasn't enough, the owner, Leanne, was so responsive anytime we reached out, and could not have been kinder.
Yeah.
She could not have been a more kind person. Asked how we were, asked if checkout was good, if we needed anything, was there any problems. She was absolutely great. So yeah, we are going to be staying in this place again, without question.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to go back in the winter, because she has some pictures on the Airbnb listing of the place with snow.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, it looks great. It looks great. So I'm looking forward to going back here, and just the area itself is simply breathtaking.
I agree.
So yeah, if you want to check it out, it's called Elk Creek Cottage.
I will say we didn't see any elk, but I heard that there are elk in the area.
Yeah. Yeah, you heard from a local that there were elk in the area. So that's great. We didn't see any, but that's great.
Yeah. So we need to go back to see elk.
Yeah, I'm on board. You will get no pushback from me going back to this area and to this B&B alone. This might be our home base B&B anytime we go to Cumberland Gap area.
Yeah.
So I recommend it. Elk Creek Cottage. Look it up on Airbnb. The direct link will be in the show description. But if you search for it, just search for Elk Creek Cottage in Bell County, Kentucky, and you'll find it. So that's the show this week, guys. Chained Rock Trail in Cumberland Gap Historical State Park. Just a fantastic short hike but will give you an amazing view of the Cumberland Gap.
And will also make your thighs hurt.
Be careful coming back up. And more importantly, be careful at the pinnacle of the trail.
Yeah.
If you decide to scramble up the rocks, we are begging you to be very careful coming back down. But even if you don't want to do that, the view from the trail itself is still gorgeous. And we also talked about the actual chain on Chained Rock.
Yeah, how it got its name.
And the boredom that it took to put that up there.
I mean, it seems to have been boredom
Yeah,
or something, or an overactive conscience.
Yeah, whatever. It was a fun story
Yeah.
about some people in 1933 who decided to stop lying to their kids.
But they're still
lying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we reviewed Elk Creek Cottage, a great B&B, Airbnb there. I should clarify, breakfast is not provided, even though there's a ton of snacks there, but breakfast is not provided if you're used to a traditional bed and breakfast. It's an Airbnb. It's a cabin all to yourself right there in Bell County, just north of Cumberland Gap Historical State Park. A really great place to stay, and we're going to be staying there anytime we go back.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much for listening. Please subscribe to us in whatever podcast app you use, and be sure to leave us a review. That's how our show grows. Feel free to check out our trail photos at casualclimbers.com. And if you have a question, comment, or just want to drop us a line, you can reach us at casualclimberspodcast@gmail.com.
So, Donna, the chain. I can't get over the amount of effort that it took to put the chain up there for no real reason whatsoever.
I mean,
but it's made it famous, right?
It has.
Like you and I when I was
put it on the
researching
map.
trails, I was like, Chained Rock, what's that about? I would have skipped this trail if it had not been because it was a chained rock.
Yeah.
So I guess they succeeded.
They did
in what they were trying for.
They put themselves
right?
on the map.
And it's a popular trail. We went, what was it, mid-afternoon, I think?
I think so.
Yeah, we went mid-afternoon and the parking lot was almost full.
On a Tuesday.
Yeah. On a Tuesday. And the parking lot was almost full. So it's popular. I can see on the weekends that place would be packed.
Yeah.
So, just all that is to say, I will not be bringing a chain up to any rock.
Okay. I'm sure the donkeys or the mules will be thankful for that.
But Sasquatch would help. I bet he would.
Oh my goodness.
You know he would.
We're back to that?
Yeah. It always comes back to Sasquatch.
I don't think it should.
It should. It should and it does.
Okay.
If you're out there, buddy, mad props to you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll see you out on the trail.
See you on the trail.